Hey y'all, I'm Allison Neal. I am part of Silencing the Stigma team for the End Heroin Walk for the Addiction Prevention Coalition for this year. I'm partnering with Miss Troy University 2018, Madison Lynn Neal. And I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit about why I'm walking to End Heroin, and a little bit more information about the actual event. So the event is on Saturday, which is on February 24th, and it's $20 to join a team, and with that $20 you get a lanyard and a t-shirt, and you get to walk. And I'll have information if you need it as to how to join a team, or if you don't want to walk, you can always donate, and that's greatly appreciated as well. And check-in for the walk begins at 9 a.m. and then the walk begins at 10. And I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about why I chose to walk. So Miss Troy University 2018 is actually my sister-in-law, and her platform is Silencing the Stigma Addiction Awareness. And basically, our families have been affected by addiction. My family has been affected by it my whole life. And I know that my sister-in-laws, like, their family has been affected by it their entire lives as well. And, you know, addiction really doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how much money the person makes. It doesn't matter, you know, how many times that person goes to church a week. It doesn't matter, because once it has a hold of you, you become a completely different person. And, I mean, even then, sometimes your family doesn't know what's going on. You can have family members, you can have friends, you can, you know, have all these people that are so close to you, and they have no idea what, you know, what you're doing. So it's really hard to walk that road, not only for the addict, but also for the family members and friends that are affected. It's every day wondering whether or not your family member or your friend is going to end up killing themselves. That is heavy stuff. And nobody wants to think about burying their child. Nobody wants to think about, you know, having to prepare for that phone call. And I know for me at least, and not many people know this, but I had a family member who, before I even met my sister-in-law or met my husband's family, I had a family member who was an addict, and she was addicted to several things, and she was not the person that I knew that she could be. Although my whole life, you know, that's all I knew of her. Like, that's who I thought she was for the longest time. And when I was little, I didn't understand, like I do now, that that's not who she is. Thankfully, she's sober now, but it took her being a lot older and doing drugs for a very long time for her to finally get into a place where she was healthy. And it put great strain on my family, and she wasn't around for family get-togethers, and she wasn't, you know, I didn't really know her growing up. All I knew was how angry she was, and how mad she always was, and how I didn't really want to be around her, because nobody wants to be around somebody who you're scared of all the time, no matter if they're a family member or not. So that was something that we kind of struggled with as a family silently for a long time, because there is such a stigma surrounding addiction. And with our family being as conservative as it was, and as religious as it was, you know, it's not something that you go around advertising. It's not something that you go around talking about, because, like I said, there's a stigma surrounding addiction, like that they're just dirty junkies, and like that they're selfish people, and they're not. They're not. You know, addiction is a disease. You know, that first that first time that you try drugs, it's a choice, yes. But for the rest of the time, when you're addicted, that's not a choice. That is a chemical response in your brain, in your body, that is saying that you need and that you crave this drug so bad that you can't function without it. You get sick without it. You suffer withdrawals. Those withdrawals can be lethal. And you know, the addict feels like they're dying when they're withdrawing, and that's hard for them as well. So it's very important for us to surround these people with love and understanding and try to help them as best we can. I know for me personally, I feel like I failed that family member. Like, I could have been there for them more than I was, you know. And there's a lot of shame with being that family member once everything is said and done, feeling like you could have done more, you could have been there more, you could have, I don't know, just done more than you did. And, you know, I was really young when this family member was addicted to drugs, and so it wasn't necessarily anything I could have done. And now that I know, I'm older and I know, like, there's nothing that you can do except for love that person. There's nothing that you can do except for try to accept them for who they are and try to get them the help that they need. And, you know, I swear my whole life that I was never going to surround myself with that, you know, voluntarily after going through all that with my family member. But as it was, like I said, I'm partnering with my sister-in-law on this because my husband's family has been touched by addiction as well. Many of you know my husband's story. You know that before I met him, he was into some pretty heavy stuff that, you know, he's not proud of, and to this day he's ashamed of it. And once again, there's that stigma surrounding it, you know, that it's something that you should be ashamed of. He doesn't always see it as something that he went through to teach him, you know, a lesson and, you know, make him a better person. He sees it as something to be ashamed of. And, you know, when I met him, he was actively using, and he and I started out just being friends, and he was so much fun to just talk to. And, you know, I knew that he was doing bad things. I knew that. And I'm not saying that I approved of it, because I didn't, because he did. He asked me if, you know, I would ever date him, and I told him no. And he got angry because I told him exactly why I wouldn't date him. I told him that, you know, he was a drug addict and that I deserved better than somebody who would pick a substance over me. And so we didn't talk for a long time. And then he called me and he said, "Hey, I am trying to get myself better, but I need help." And I uprooted myself and moved myself 2 hours away to his parents' home. And I moved in with them to try and help him get better. He went off to rehab about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks after I had moved in. And he was in rehab for about 9 months, and that was really hard. That was really, really hard. It was tough on our relationship. We went through a lot of really bad things. You know, I went through abandonment issues with that, and he went through, you know, trying to get sober, trying so hard to stay clean. And he finally came out, you know, and graduated. And things were different because all of a sudden I have somebody in my space like that I'm not used to. And it was just such a quick change. Everything was so quick that we ended up not being together for a little while. And then we ended up getting back together a couple of months after we had broken up, because I just couldn't see myself abandoning him. And then, I got mail. Anyways, then, thank you. And then, we got back together because I couldn't see myself abandoning him when he needed me. And, you know, he's been sober from heroin ever since. And, I mean, to think that he did all that so that I would give him a chance is just the hugest blessing. And he sacrificed so much. Addiction is such a hard thing to get over. It's not easy, especially heroin addiction. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. It's so awful. And I mean, I'm still to this day like shocked that he was able to get over that for me and for our family. And that's why we're walking, because we want to spread the awareness and silence the stigma that is attached to addiction. These people are people that you love. These people are people just like you and me. Just because, you know, their body is craving this doesn't make them any less of a person. They're still in there. Who they are is still in there. And we need to get to the root of the problem. And I just thank God every day that my husband is okay, and that my family member is okay, and that they're both healthy, and that they're happy now. And now we have a son, and, you know, without him going through rehab and all that, I wouldn't have, like, the greatest thing that has ever happened to me in my life, which is my family. And I'm so thankful every day. And that's why I walk. And that's why Miss Troy University 2018 walks, is because we want everyone to know that there is love out there for you, no matter what you're addicted to. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I really do. Also, I run a business called AK Amateur Photography. And if you book a session with me from now until the end of February, when the walk happens, all proceeds will go to the Royal Pines Rehabilitation Center, where my husband graduated from. And they will be made on Miss Troy 2018's behalf. So I appreciate it so, so much, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Okay?